Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's Zoning Board of Appeals. This evening, the Zoning Board of Appeals meets in conjunction with the zoning rules of Chapters 40A and 40B. Tonight's meeting will be conducted in the following manner. The secretary will read the notes, the agenda notes, unless it is a continued hearing, and then we do not have to read them into the record. The rest of the meeting this evening will be done in the order that it was written in the agenda, and it looks like mostly tonight we will be hearing 40B 128 Newbury Street, 40B 58 Pulaski Street, and 40B Wallace Street, Tan Wright Residences. I don't have to go through if this was a regular meeting, how it would be conducted, because we do not have any variances to listen to this evening, which I believe in all the years we've been doing this, this is a first. So we will start right away with our regular meeting agenda and our continued administrative appeal and applications, and go right into our 40B applications. So the first continued administrative appeal will be of J.D. Raymond Transport, care of Attorney Kimberly Croha, and also, I believe, Attorney Panos might be involved in this. So we have an update, hopefully, from Attorney Croha.
Is that on? Okay. Hi. Yes. Thank you, board members. Kim Crowa on behalf of J.D. Raymond Transport. And this is the administrative appeal from the building permit issued to the residences 40B apartment complex that's going up, that has the 40B approval to go up next to my client's property off Farm Ave. Last time we were here in July, the request was continued out to tonight. During that time, there was a pending request for determination of applicability before the Conservation Commission. What's happened since then is that at the July 13th meeting with Conservation Commission, that was shortly after a site walk that had just occurred, and Conservation continued out that decision on the request for determination of applicability to September 14th, the meeting that just went by last week. During that time, the Conservation Commission has a 2-month break in their meetings, and of course the residences were at the Conservation Commission meeting in July. After that continuance was voted on and approved by Conservation Commission, the residences took advantage of a state regulation that says that the Conservation Commission must open a public hearing within 21 days of receiving an application. They did go ahead and file a notice of intent on their own property in there without waiving any rights to argue that they weren't required to file the notice of intent. But they did file it at the end of August. No, I'm sorry, at the beginning of August, which then, because of the Conservation Commission schedule, they did not open the meeting within 21 days, and the applicant filed a request for superseding order with the DEP, thereby evading the local review of the application. At the meeting that took place last week on September 14th, they asked the commission to not take any action on their application because of the superseding request for order of conditions that was filed, and the Conservation Commission didn't take any action. So where it sits right now, DEP has confirmed they are going to consider the issue because of the procedural 21-day issue that's in the regulations, and DEP will be conducting a site walk and making a decision on the notice of intent, whether the project requires any changes or it doesn't. So I'm here tonight asking the ZBA to make a decision on our application and to revoke the building permit without any prejudice for them to refile. The comprehensive permit that was issued requires, as one of the conditions, specifically paragraph 14, item D, the applicant shall demonstrate that all required local and state approvals and permits have been obtained. So they can't do that. They have an application pending. There are state regulations determining how fast the DEP is supposed to act. They regularly don't meet those deadlines because of backlog. So there will be a site visit, and there will be an opportunity for us as abutters to participate in that proceeding, and then they'll make a decision. But until that decision issues, the applicant just doesn't have all of the state permits that are required. And so that is our request tonight.
I'm going to have the secretary read Brendan Callahan's memo to us, please.
Correspondence into the record dated September 19th, 2022 from Brendan Callahan. It says, see below, looks like Mass DEP has accepted the appeal for issuance of a superseding order of conditions, and DEP will be scheduling a site visit soon. To summarize, the property owner, Weiss, filed a notice of intent in August, but the Conservation Commission doesn't have a August hearing, so his file was not received within the 21 days and the regulations call for. So Weiss's attorney filed for a request of superseding order of conditions from Mass DEP Wetlands. Mass DEP has accepted the appeal request and will now take over the review of the NOI and issuance of the OOC. As of now, it seems DEP will schedule a site visit in the near future with all parties. The site visit has not been scheduled yet, and I am not sure of the timeline it will take DEP to issue the OOC. Hope this helps, Brendan.
Okay, so the appeal has been signed to an analyst who will be scheduling a site visit. All parties will be notified. So at this time, it seems to me the best thing to do is to have a motion, unless we have something else to discuss, to extend the building permit pause until 27R Farm Ave gains approval from DEP and the Concom, and continue this matter till October 17th,
So moved.
unless we have other discussions.
Second, anybody? Did he?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll continue this till October 17th. Next, continued application of Attorney Panos from the provision of the zoning ordinance, 25 Farm Ave. This was continued from last month. We also need a motion to accept the October 31st Mr. Tellerico's clarification memo, including Croha 8 August 12th correspondence. I need a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we all have that clarification letter. And we all were okay with that letter? Or not? Want to discuss anything of it?
I guess I'll start with that, but it certainly clarifies a few things. Indicates very clearly, I believe, that J.D. Raymond will need to not only apply for a special permit, but they will need to receive a special permit to have that approved. I know last time we had discussed putting some kind of time limitation on it. I'm not sure, based upon this letter, that how we address that. it's very clear from this that Mr. Tallarico will require a special permit, or else they, in his words, they will be shut down immediately. So that's at least some clarity on that issue, so that we know that they do need to apply for and receive the special permit. I guess the question is, how much time do we give to do that, or do we rely solely upon this letter?
So I believe that the Conservation Commission has a big part in this.
They do.
Oh, let me hear what you have to say.
The DEP is for the other one, not this administrative
okay.
appeal. This is before Conservation Commission now.
Right.
So we have to wait for it to come out of COMCOM, and that's what I suggest we do. Wait for that report, and then we can make a determination.
Know when the next time this goes before Concom? Jason?
I can inform that a little bit. It was continued to the next hearing in October. The continued date escapes me, but by way of update to Concom, and by the way, the matter before the board is a zoning issue. The matter before the building commissioner is a zoning issue, separate and distinct from the Concom. There was a peer review letter, though by way of update on the Concom matter, that got issued from Horsley Witten reporting on the J.D. Raymond application before it. That was quite lengthy and quite extensive and pointed out several deficiencies in their application. The bottom line is, in our review, and this is clearly an estimate, I cannot see them, and I have, by the way, for the record, my name is Jason Panos, practicing law at 246 Andover Street. I'm joined by Tony Capicetti of Hayes Engineering, and he's looked at this more extensively than I have from a technical point of view. And it is going to be quite an uphill climb for them to get an order of conditions out of the Concom before the end of the year. This, we feel, is pushing to next year because of the deficiencies in the J.D. Raymond application. I don't want to repeat what I said on August 15th, but I will certainly highlight the sentiment that the letter that was put before you from J.D. Raymond's counsel indicates their bad faith. They're running the clock. The evidence before the Concom certainly supports that. They continue to run the clock. The matter before CONSCOM is not going to end quickly. And so while we appreciate the building commissioner's letter, it certainly does give a little more clarity in his position on the building permit, the special permit issue. It doesn't give us any clarity on timing. And so, and accountability. Really, it comes down to accountability. So I would support a continuance to let the matter before the Concom play out a little longer to see how they will respond to the peer review, the extensive peer review memo that just got issued on Friday, to see whether they're going to have a change of heart and really get serious about their application before the Concom, and that should inform you guys, because that's going to happen before your hearing. Should inform you guys as to how they're going to treat the special permit process. And a little more time We've been at this how long? Isn't going to kill us. We want them to engage in good faith. We want them to comply with not only the Conservation, Local Wetlands Ordinance, and the Wetlands Protection Act, but also, more importantly, for matters germane to this board, we want them to be in compliance with the zoning ordinance. We would like nothing more. We've been at this for years. So is an extra month going to kill us? No. And we would hope that you, on the board, keep your eye out as to what your sister boards are doing and gauge for yourself whether there's good faith or continued foot dragging in bad faith. That's all I have.
Thank you. Attorney Croha, do you have anything to say on this matter?
To clarify for the board, the next Conservation Commission meeting is October 12th, and we will be submitting updated plans before then. We had test pits performed with city oversight that we did submit updated plans, but based on the test pit, we knew we were going to need another set of updated plans, so it didn't make sense for Conservation Commission to get into it at the last meeting. But I did just want to respond. I am paying attention to deadlines, and obviously Attorney Panos is also those that apply to his client as well. We never said we weren't filing a special permit with the city. The commissioner has told us to. I've had conversations with him. I have a whole special permit application drafted, but I can't complete it until the plans are final and approved, or else I'm wasting everybody's time by submitting it before then. So we are working in good faith. We will continue to do that. I did reserve rights if this gets to litigation, just as Attorney Panos and his group did on their application. I'm hoping it doesn't get there, but we are acting in good faith with the city, and will continue to do that. Thank you.
Through the chair. It looks like both parties have issues still pending in front of COMCOM, so I think it's best to continue this to the next meeting to find out what determinations COMCOM has made.
So,
Oh, can't we just extend?
Yeah, we'll just continue.
Yeah.
No, we'll just, based upon the representations of the attorneys, we'll just continue this to the next, hearing.
Yeah, we've already voted to extend the application period, so. We can just take it under, we can just accept the correspondence, that's all. We could just accept the correspondence.
which we already accepted it,
Right.
so we just continue this.
Yeah, we can just continue it. This matter's pending, but both parties are interested in front of COMCOM, so we need that determination.
Yeah. October 12th. We'll meet after them.
And we meet after it.
So make your motion.
So I'll make a motion to continue this matter to the next meeting in October.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's continued.
Thank you.
Yep. Now we have number 3, which is the Shabbat Jewish Center. So you have.
Okay, for the record, I'm reading an email dated September 6, 2022 from Rabbi Schusterman. It says, "Hi, Carla. Okay, so I am working on an option with the building inspector, but it's going to take me a few more days to get some clarity. Can this email serve as a continuance till October?" The end.
I'll move to accept the correspondence and continue the application to to the next meeting in October.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we are We're on to continued application, 40B of 128 Newbury Street. Mr. Slattery, could you please make a motion to accept those correspondences?
Move to accept the following correspondence into the record. One is an August 11, 2022 revised landscape plans. Another is an August 11, 2022 Langley peer review memo. The next is an August 5, 2022 Horsley Witten stormwater review. The next is an August 10th, 22 World Tech traffic review. The next is an August 12th, 22 Aragema letter in opposition. And the next is a July 21st, 22 revised plan 180.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, those are all accepted. Attorney Kelty, do you want to give an update? I have an update to read into the record. Let's see. This is an updated memo from Mr. Langley, the Director of Engineering. The Engineering Department has received comments to responses for traffic from World Tech. The sewer peer review is slated to be completed September 23rd, along with the water peer review for the proposal. Engineering is recommending an additional review of the 128 Newbury proposal for environmental peer review. We have solicited a proposal from our peer reviewer.
John Kelty, 40 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. For the applicant, Maple Multifamily LLP, and I'm with me this evening are Alan Major, Representative Tim Williams, and Alan Cloutier, who handled traffic for us, and we could, if the board would like to take the time, go into some detail with respect to our responses to the peer review and where we are now. Is that, yes? Tim? Alan? Oh, Nick, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I misidentified our consultant, Nick.
Thank you. For the record, Nick Delacava with Alan and Major, subbing in for Tim Williams tonight. So we did get a peer review memo from Horsley Witten Group, and the majority of the comments were minor. It was more or less just providing additional detail, resolving some discrepancies between some of the details with what's shown on the design plans, and really the only design changes that were made to the stormwater management system were we added some water quality units to the design to enhance the nutrient removal. And then we created a BMP location plan, which stands for Best Management Practice. It's really associated with the future O&M of the property. And then we also prepared a snow storage plan. So I can go through each individual comment if you like. I think you'll find, though, that they're all pretty minor. So that's all I have.
Are there any that you think should be brought to our attention for further discussion or review?
For a lot of them?
There's about 9 pages of responses, but again, if you'd like, we can just go through one by one. I don't think there's anything significant that is worth bringing up, honestly, aside from the addition of the water quality units to the design.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Essentially, they're drain manhole structures, and They have a swirl chamber inside of them that allows the enhanced removal of sediment and pollutants before they enter the infiltration systems. And that's really it. It's pretty straightforward.
Through the chair, if that's what the consultant thinks is the most important thing, and it's that straightforward, I think I'm all set with the rest of the explanations.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Because I
And we,
have,
okay, and
I
just
do have
I'll
a
just
lot of
add to that, we
questions.
haven't received a response to date from Horsley Witten based on our responses, whether they agree or disagree. I would assume most of them they're just going to agree with. It was just adding and providing additional information. So that's where we are with that. Thank you.
With respect to, there were several suggestions made to us with respect to landscape, and we do have our landscape architect. What we've done is we've, as the board had asked at last meeting, we have identified the species, the number of species, the height. That's all been added to the plan since the very first time when we moved down to the 180 units that we're dealing with right now. We did beef up landscaping, and our landscape architect is here if you'd like to hear a presentation on that, although the plan has been filed. You do have that.
You know what? Why don't we just go right into questions and answers, because landscaping will come up
Okay.
during this. So, first of all,
Great.
what is this? This is, I know what it is, but usually we get a booklet that's easy to go through. This is, I can't be diplomatic. This is, I don't even know.
Well, it's a,
daunting. No, plus, there are, if this is what you're passing in, there are mistakes here that, quite frankly, have to be corrected. So let's just take right here. This still reflects 220 units. This has to reflect 180 units. This still reflects 220 units. This still reflects 90, and 130 is 220. Wait. In order for this to be approved, unless I'm missing something, these have to reflect 180 units. Correct. Okay, it doesn't. It reflects 220. The landscaping, where was the landscaping?
September.
Yeah, so those, I believe these are outdated plans.
Then why do we have them?
I don't know.
Well, everybody got these in their packet for this month's meeting, and yeah, we can't, of course, we look through that, we look, and we're like, well, we never got anything. It doesn't even matter whether we got something like this before. However, there's too many mistakes. You can't pass in a 40B project reflecting that you're coming before us 180, and the plans reflect 220. Where's the parking? Is the parking 180? Is the parking 220? And the landscaping. Okay, I know I've beat this to death. However, I can tell you right now, I know you're planning to do the landscaping before any construction, but the way it looks, and I could be totally wrong, and I know trees have to grow and blah, 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 but just realize that once these are planted, and if we don't like it, there will be a condition that you have to plant more because it needs to be dense. And I know you're going to say trees have to grow, and I know all about trees. I was on the Conservation Commission for 11 years. I'm just saying that the way it looks a little shallow. Just for your reference. So if you want this, this is messy. It's help me out with an adjective here.
Clumsy.
It's clumsy. It's hard to maneuver. It's overkill.
Another good one.
Yeah, we have to put it on the floor to look at it, all of the above. It's, you know, you might think, maybe you thought you were doing a good thing by making it oversized. In this case, more is not better. But the mistakes on there, and I have other things to ask you, Attorney Kelty, after I'll give you a chance to address the mistakes, unless you don't want to address the mistakes.
The mistakes are, you're correct, that we believe that we had submitted a revised set of plans, 10 copies of that set, which was readdressed to reflect 180 units.
Correct. It was, yes, we submitted the 180 unit plan set.
Nick.
We submitted the 180 unit plan set that Horsey Witten reviewed. And then we since made some minor modifications based on their peer review memo and resubmitted an updated drainage report, a response memo, as well as updated plans. And those were dated August, I believe, 25th, 2022. I don't know if you didn't get a copy of those. I'm not sure.
We received those, but then after that, we received this larger plan. So you gave us a revised, but then you gave us these landscape plans, 10, yes, and they have the incorrect number on them.
We have, apparently, it sounds like we have 2 different plans. You need to decide, let's condense them, make sure they're correct, and then give us something that reflects everything correctly.
Can do that. And let me ask a question. Your feeling is that those are too cumbersome, and how would you like them presented?
There you go.
Okay.
Jack, really? You have to ask me if I think that's too cumbersome? Come on.
11 by 17. So we'll make sure the plans are present correct, and then we're going to submit only 11 by 17 copies, or would you like at least one full set of plans, full size?
One full set.
Okay. Not a problem.
So I have some questions for Attorney Kelty. So have you filed anything with the Conservation? Because in looking through all the paperwork, there was a memo from Lucia Del Nigro in May that said if there is any work to be done on Lot 14, which abuts Corral Road, there are wetlands there, you had to file a NOI. So have you been filing anything with Conservation up until now?
No, yes, up until now, we have filed with Concom, and that's what produced those comments. We had a meeting in which the wetland was identified, and we filed an ANRAD, and then Lucia's comment was, in the event that we were working on Lot 14, we were going to be that much closer to the wetland, and as such, we should file an NOI. We are not, Lot 14 is not included in the package that is the development of this property. So there will be no further filing with the Concom.
Okay. Do you have an updated purchase agreement?
Yes. I filed that.
Carla needs that.
Updated P&S? I thought you sent it to me and I sent it.
I don't know that I sent it to you. I can give it to you.
We will,
I hope that pen has a lot of ink. You ready? You're all set with that? Stacy Bernson's memo in June And do you have a response to that? And also to Mr. Osborne's comments in regard to affordability and perpetuity? Did you look at that, Stacy Bernson's memo, June 28th?
Did see Stacy's memo some time ago, and the gist of her memo was that we should be filing with her in order to get our lottery system underway, et cetera, for the inclusionary zoning portion of the 40Bs. We are not yet approved. I think it's premature to file with Stacy.
Well, you're not filing with her, you're like responding with her, right? You're going to respond to
Sure.
her memo. And you had a comment on... And that needs to be addressed, that needs to be responded to. And so, on those plans, has your parking ratio changed at all? If you want to, obviously this is going to be continued till next month. So if you want to like take notes and you don't have to answer me tonight, but
Sure.
because you still have to fix the plans. The landscape plan definitely doesn't reflect 180 units. Parking ratio. The other thing is, and I don't know, is Ryan here tonight, Ryan Cox? Yes. Oh. So I just wanted to know if, we had a site visit, and Ryan asked about the pile, that it could be not toxic, but contaminated soil. Was that ever looked at all?
Yeah, we are aware of where it came from, when it got there, and it is not contaminated, but the law dictates that anything that is being carried off the site must be tested. We've tested. As you saw in the memo tonight, Bob Langley is asking that my guys sign a new or an additional peer review, which would be for the 21E. We're doing that. I have the signed agreement, and we'll give it to Carla or Bob tomorrow. I can give it to Carla tonight, but we are aware of where that pile came from. It is clean, and we will attend as is dictated under law as to the handling of those materials. The grade needs to change in order for, and those surplus piles need to be removed before Trammell Crow enters the property and buys the property. And as such, all compliance with Mass General Law 21E will need to be achieved with respect to any of the materials remaining on the site.
Okay. So you have wrote down all my little questions? Yep. And what do we... Before I ask for the audience participation, is there anything else you wanted to comment or report on this evening?
No.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor or in traffic?
Our traffic consultant here, if you want us to address that.
Say that.
World Tech's review of traffic is based on 220 units, just so you know. So I don't know what the response would be.
If you have somebody here to speak on traffic this evening, unless you want to wait till next month, I would suggest you let it run tonight.
Thank you, board members. For the record, Robert Michaud, principal with the MDM Transportation Consultants. We've prepared two technical responses to peer review, the first dated to August 28th, the second to September 16th. The September 16th response really addressed a few what I'd call lingering questions that the peer reviewer had, specifically related to potential impacts to a more southerly intersection on Route 1, about 1.5 miles south, which is the location at which northbound traffic can reverse direction to southbound and eventually get to Lake Street. Our position in the analysis has consistently been that while there may be a handful of cars that actually use that as a potential path to return to the project, that the relative impact of the project is so de minimis that it's not worthy of detailed study. DOT, in their review of the same information, came to that same conclusion, and the peer reviewer had asked that we just elaborate on that, which we've done, indicating that the relative trip increase relative to the thousands of cars that travel through that intersection is measured in tens of cars. So we've provided that information and stand fast to our opinion that it's a location that's not worthy of detailed level of service and capacity analysis. The second had to do with clarification of the lane uses on Route 1 and how that relates to the intersection capacity analysis. We've rerun some analysis that indicates essentially the same result, that at the Route 1 intersection, whether at Winona or the driveway, that delays for side street traffic are less than 11 seconds. It's really no different than what we've reported before. It was, more of a academic exercise, if you will. There's third, a formal commitment to certain TDM, transportation demand management actions that are outlined in the traffic report, and that are also subject to ongoing review by or through the MEPA process. Those are all formal commitments. And finally, there was a comment that related to the sidewalk along the driveway easement area. The preference would be to somehow connect that to Route 1, which is possible to do, but as currently proposed, would have a sidewalk improvement running to but not beyond the commercial driveway, which is the logical terminal point for a sidewalk, given the lack of sidewalks on Route 1. We don't want to provide a sidewalk connection to or even encourage people to walk to Route 1 where there is no sidewalk infrastructure there today. So the commitment that the proponent has is to provide an easement for a future sidewalk extension to Route 1 within that easement area, subject to the consent of landowners that have mutual rights within that easement. So we're not ignoring the possibility of a future sidewalk connection, but the physical construction of the sidewalk would end at a logical terminal point to accommodate anyone who would want to walk to or from those retail entities from the project. There are some minor comments related to the site plan itself, all of which will be incorporated into the site plan set in its final form. So we're pleased with the outcome of peer review. There were no outstanding technical issues of significance in our view, and we thought that the peer review was thoroughly and professionally done and that we've properly responded to it. So I'm glad to answer any questions the board might have.
So the peer review is based on 220 units. If it's going to be 180 units, the peer review would even have a lesser of an impact. So I don't have a problem with it.
I just have a problem with it being too big of a project to have these mistakes.
Thank you, board members. Thank you.
Board specifically have other questions you'd like for us to be able to address as we're assembling all the appropriate plans and the appropriate size, et cetera? Are there other issues that the board has that?
Doesn't seem at this point, but you never know what might happen
Well, I
next month.
understand that this is a fluid experience.
It is. Now, anybody in the audience that would like to come up and speak in favor or in opposition or have any questions? Ryan, no? Is Ryan the only one that wants to speak for 128 Newbury? Okay.
So first off, Ryan Cox, 11 Hammock Road. First off, I don't want to get in the back and forth that we did last time. I'm asking you guys my questions. Okay? Still 220 units have not submitted on 180, correct? Okay,
You just heard it, and it will be fixed.
okay.
And if it's not fixed, it'll be fixed the following month, but
Okay.
you heard it.
So we're going on 2 months of that now. Also, purchase and sale agreement still has not been updated. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So,
Ryan, I'm sorry.
Public comment is generally just a forum for you to comment, usually not to depose the panel. But if you need some information, we can definitely tell you whether we have it or not. But asking us for opinions might be a different thing, so we can tell you what we have. But,
okay,
all right.
no problem.
I was just trying to be really nice to you, Ryan.
Do you have an updated purchase and sale agreement?
No, but they already, if you were in the audience, they said that they were going to provide us with one.
Okay. So I also have a few other comments. Going by their 220 unit plan, they do show that their utilities are going to be connected on Winona Street. There is no gas on Winona Street, which I've mentioned a bunch of times, and I want to know what the impact to my neighborhood would be if,
I don't want to interrupt you, but Attorney Kelty, could you,
Just listen to it.
yeah, no, I want to ask a question. So, about the gas, are the gas lines? Yes. Are the gas lines going to be so that people on Cardigan or Hammerich or whatever that don't have gas lines, are they going to be able to now have gas lines? Or-
No, no. I mean, we're bringing the gas on whichever side we're told to bring it up. Are we now not even going to use? And
now there's no
there's
gas?
an alternative, 2 places the gas can come from. Let Nick.
No, just wait.
We had originally submitted, the original plan showed gas lines. We've since removed the gas and we're going all electric. There's no gas line shown on the latest plans that were submitted on 825.
Plans?
Those are outdated plans.
Okay, so how about this? This is what we got in our package for this month. They're outdated. I don't even want to look at them. I don't want to talk about them. It's a moot point. So what we're going to do now is, Ryan, we're going to listen to your comments. We're going to write down your comments and your concerns, but please, you can't ask us really any questions back and forth. But I want to hear what you have to say.
what I'm going to ask right now is that they resubmit the plans that they were supposed to for the last 2 months of 180 units and what they plan to do. I don't want to hear what they're going to do or what those plans show or they're outdated. I've had it. What are you going to do? End of story.
Okay, so we're the board, and we understand wholeheartedly where you're coming from. I know you take a great interest in this, but we also feel that, yes, we need updated plans, and we will get them. And if we don't get them next month, then we'll get them the following month. But you're right, we need updated plans, and that's it. Other specific plans, or you want to wait till next month? I mean, specific concerns.
Honestly, all my questions rely on their plans. So if they eliminated gas, then they eliminated gas. That eliminates a question that I have. But the question is, if they plan on bringing gas in on Winona Street where it's not really there, what's really impacted? So did they eliminate gas or they did not? We don't know that because they haven't submitted updated plans. Purchase and sale, they have not submitted an updated purchase and sale. Like, what are we doing? What are they doing?
So you realize that absolutely nothing will go forward, nothing will get decided, nothing will get voted on until everything is completely done correctly, and we are in agreement. And you heard me say before, when it comes to a 40B, what's fair? Fair is they get everything they want, and the neighbors say, okay, that's fine. That's really not fair. In a 40B, what happens is you compromise, and you compromise, and you compromise. We don't know when this is going to be compromised enough so that everybody's happy. But realize that the board has been going through this now for a while. We know, what has to be done. We take a look at everything that's written, everything that's proposed, all the departments that give us all their reports, and we listen to the neighbors, and then we make a decision. No decision has been written, nothing has been decided. We're still just seeing what's happening. So it might be foolish of me to say don't worry about it, but realize that the board will do the best we can to make everybody happy. And that usually doesn't happen. You can't keep everybody happy, but it's a compromise.
It's not about making everyone happy, and I understand that you guys have to do what you have to do, but at the same time, they're not providing what you're asking.
But they will. You see, they will. And I know it hasn't happened yet, and but Ryan, take it like this. The longer this prolongs, the longer nothing gets built. I don't know how else to say it. I know that things have gone astray, but they will get fixed. And then when they're fixed, then we will deal with that part.
So who decided that 180 units?
Right. And debating with you, and we're really not supposed to do that.
That's a precedent we can't set. This is for public comment.
Okay.
So we have heard your comments.
So I'm going to ask a few more questions then. Who decided that 180 units?
No, this is, Ron, we're not trying to be difficult. This is public comment. You can
Okay,
present us,
so
and we did answer that.
So
Fran did answer that.
Okay, so
3 or
I'm
4
gonna
meetings ago.
public comment then.
That's
So yeah,
fine.
please make your suggestions and
Okay,
questions. I
so-
hope Attorney
so-
Kelty is paying attention so he can answer them at the next
So
meeting, and
public
that's what this
comment,
is for.
I do not
I
think.
thank you for letting me give you that instruction.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So 180 units, I do not think is appropriate for that. I would like to see something that supports 180 units in that area. Was that a question?
And
Thank you.
I'd like to make a point of clarification.
go.
There were plans for 180 units submitted to the board on August 16th with a revision date of 7/22. However, there were plans that were submitted after that were contradictory to that 180. There were plans submitted after that then said 220.
You, Carla. Here we are. Has to.
Move to continue to the next meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
You all set, Attorney Kelty? Well, here we are with now the residents at Mills 58 Pulaski Street. We have a motion, Mr. Slattery, to accept correspondences.
All right, move to accept the following correspondence. One is August 15th, 22, from Attorney Sheehan. It's a letter in opposition. Another is August 16th, 22, the Langley memo, including the August 9th Thide and bond memo.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I have
Reading correspondence into the record, it is a memo dated September 16, 2020, from Francis Bizet. Sorry.
It's from Robert Langley.
Wait a minute, am I got the right memo? I got the wrong memo.
Piazza.
I know, from Fran. As chair, it's from Robert Langley to the board. The engineering department has facilitated the peer review of the Mills 58 to date. Peer reviews have been delivered for stormwater, traffic, sewer, water. Peer review is still outstanding and is estimated to be completed by September 19th. Response has been made by the applicant's engineer on stormwater and traffic, and these responses are being reviewed by the peer reviewer with comments to be submitted by September 21st. I have been in communication with Tony Capichetti from Hayes Engineering and expect to meet with him before the October meeting to close out any remaining issues. If you have any questions, please call me. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jason Panos, practicing law at 246 Andover Street, Peabody, Massachusetts, here on behalf of the residences at Mills 58 LLC, the applicant which has submitted the current 40B application before you. Since the Langley memo, which you just read into the record, was issued, all the outstanding peer review came in, and it's a lot. But we've gone through it, and Tony will present on the status of our review. We still expect to meet with Bob Langley next week and go over it, reconcile any outstanding issues, and I believe he's going to be in a position to give the board a memo with some conditions proposed based on that peer review that you can analyze, digest, and do what you will. One very important point that I think has escaped us a little bit is this. The orientation of Building A is shown there off Pulaski Street with the new site drive, which is highlighted in green, which accesses all of the dedicated spaces for the residences, which are on the backside of Building A. We propose that this way be named Waters River Road. There's been a lot of discussion about the traffic on 58R Pulaski Street, which is on the opposite side. 58R Pulaski Street is still going to function the way it functions today, except there are going to be lots of protocols, guidelines. We're going to be slowing down that traffic. We're going to be cleaning up messes that have accumulated over a period of years, and that is actually happening now. That is almost a side conversation. We're here to talk about the residences. The residences, particularly with regard to those dedicated spaces, are going to access and exit the property from the newly created Waters River Road on the opposite side with very, and here's the important point, minimal impact on 58R Pulaski Street. And I know we've kind of made that point, but here it is on the slide for you to see. The focus is there, not 58R Pulaski Street. So if I can, if it pleases the board and through the chair, I'd like to give you Tony Capichetti, who will walk you through some of the more technical aspects of where we are, more of a status report than anything else. Tony?
Thank you. For the record, Tony Capichetti, Hayes Engineering, 603 Salem Street, Wakefield, Massachusetts. As Jason said, we just wanted to indicate that we've already committed to all residential assigned spaces, access and egress from the what is the former rear of the building, now the front of the building. The goal is to get even an address assigned as Waters River Road, so even for wayfinding, people are, when they're looking for the residential use, they're discouraged from going into the 58R entrance. Just an update on peer review. So we have our initial peer reviews for water and wastewater that we're working through. We've received minor additional comments for traffic that our traffic consultant is going to work out with WorldTech. We got our final stormwater review, a couple of minor conditions from Horsley Witten Group, but that one's pretty well wrapped up. I spoke with Bob today. We're going to meet next week, hopefully, to iron out the outstanding items, respond to them, and come up with any conditions for things that need to be done prior to construction. Should the board decide to close the hearing out, they'll have that information. We've also received a review from the project abutter, an engineer from him. We're going through that review. The bulk of that review is related to zoning compliance, which, as the board may know, we're allowed to request waivers from specific substantial compliance with zoning, and we have done so. There were 3 parking spaces they identified in the overall parking plan that were questionable. We had plans of removing a retaining wall, relocating a door, and the like. We're overparked. To just kind of make things easier, we're just going to take those 3 spaces away on the next revision of the plan. So those points will become moot. Beyond that, I can answer any questions. I mean, that's where we are. I know Mr. Greeley's here. He can answer any operational questions as well. So I'll turn it back over to the board. Thank you for your time.
Here we go. Anyone in the audience to speak in favor or in opposition? Just come up and say your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, board members. My name is Dave DeLand Electrical Supply in Pulaski Street. My business is upstream from 58 Mills, about 300 or 400 yards, and my business depends greatly on access to my building, both by customers, by delivery vehicles, and by employees. And it's my contention that the viability of the present traffic pattern will limit access to my building in 2 very specific areas. One is the entry and exit to 58 rear, and the other one is the parking along the roadway coming up to my building. I believe both of those issues will create significant delays in getting through and up to my building. The entry and exit area is being reduced from its present 30 feet to 28 feet. Already at 30 feet, it's difficult for a tractor trailer to make that turn without poaching into the opposing lane of the entryway. And I've seen that firsthand. I've been there 40 years. I know that when I leave my property, if there's a tractor trailer coming in, I have to give it at least 10 feet leeway so it can make that turn. It's a very difficult issue. That being said, I'm actually in favor of the repurposing of 58 Mills. I think that's a great idea. But I think that, and I've talked to Mr. Greeley several times. He's talked to me. I've been to his building. He's been to my building. I think there's a way we can work together to work this out so there's a viable alternative for both of us.
Sure, there is.
Okay. That's
Thank
it.
you very much.
Just to provide a quick response, yes, we are reducing the overall width of pavement by about 2 feet. However, we're increasing the turning radiuses into and out of the site to a 42-foot wide radius. That's the standard for a WB67, a full-size tractor trailer to turn. So we have run the turning movements. They will not need to cross over.
Mr. DeLand, did you hear that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, the acoustics in this room are tough. That's
I would like for him to hear that.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is you are correct. We're reducing by about 2 feet in width, the overall entrance width. The reason why you have cars crossing over is because of the entrance radiuses are too narrow. So we're going to 42 feet, which is the standard for a WB 67, a 67-foot semi-tractor trailer, to be able to turn in and turn out without crossing over the lane.
It's a very difficult area, though. I mean, you almost have to account for drivers that aren't as adept as other drivers, because not only do the trailers back up into the street, they back up into the road and they create a tremendous problem. So you almost have to.
You know, what I'm hearing is you've lived with a problem for 40 years that
Yes.
you probably haven't been able to correct, and it looks like we might be able to correct it for you.
I'm more than
But
happy to
I think
engage
it's going to
further.
exacerbate the problem by having additional traffic and additional parking there, though. That's the issues.
So we're not adding any additional commercial uses, which will be the only ones going in there. So what you have currently is the same commercial traffic that'll be going in and out. You may have some visitors to residences that want to go to the existing commercial uses, but that's not generating new trips. That's just similar pass-by traffic that you're seeing currently. There was a comment by your engineer.
Tony? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I was just making sure. So we're not generating any new traffic beyond the residential use, and we're taking those assigned spaces and keeping them out of 58 rear. Mr. Delan's engineer did also point out that we did not show the entrance driveways to his site, and that's because we're not changing anything. The only work we're doing is we're milling and repaving the whole length of the road coming up. So that whole length of 58 rear will be repaved. We would coordinate the work with you to make sure that, coordinate the work to make sure that we don't interfere with the businesses, whether it is night scheduling or off hours. But it's a pretty minor, it can be milled and still operated on, and then repaved in sections so we can keep the business park going. And I'll reach out to Mr. Delan through his engineer and discuss any other concerns and kind of show him the turning templates.
Where are these plans? Have you got these plans out?
So I would suggest that you definitely make sure you still talk to the neighbors and make sure that, outside of the meeting, and make sure that the plans,
But now you have to get that conversation out.
Yes, so,
Yep.
thank you.
All right, I'm not comfortable yet, but I will definitely discuss it.
Be comfortable after you talk to him. Yeah. Anybody else in the audience to speak in favor or in opposition? Attorney Sheehan. Address for the record.
Good evening to the chair and honorable members. My name is Bill Sheehan. I practice law at 8 Essex Center Drive in Peabody, Massachusetts. Represent VRRM LLC and Sideways LLC. They own the 13 acres plus right next to the subject parcel, and also Wayside Trans Corporation, which is their primary business. Happy to hear that there's now going to be a willingness to apparently sit with us and talk about these problems. I have specifically requested such a meeting, and up until this evening, I had not gotten a response on it. So that's a step in the right direction. I'm also happy to hear that our engineer will be, as I understand it now, will be talked to by the engineer for the applicant, and hopefully they can work some things out. There are still issues, though, beyond what has just been mentioned. We've talked about them before.
I don't want to interrupt, but I just have to tell you, so you've been at the podium a few times now, and everything is recorded, so unless you have something new to tell us that you're unhappy with, please just don't repeat yourself.
Well, I think I've been pretty careful not to repeat myself, and I don't intend to repeat myself tonight. I will say that when you take a look at the ABS design team report that we've submitted, you will see that presently the so-called as-built plans do not accurately reflect what is on the ground. And what is of most concern with respect to that issue is that there is no connection shown between my client's property and Pulaski Rear Street. That's certainly an issue that has to be resolved, and I take it we'll be able to resolve it when we have that meeting. And so, armed with the knowledge that we're going to have a meeting I'll reserve all of the rest of my remarks until we meet again in October. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor or in opposition? Well then, hearing none, I need a motion to continue this till October 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see this group on October 17th. And now we are, I just want to do one quick adjustment. Where's Attorney Kelty? Oh, we're going to take one thing out of order. We have an extension from Attorney Kelty.
I've asked for an extension on the variance which you've granted to 0 Newbury Street, being Matt Philbin's property. And that will expire in October, and it's on the agenda for this evening, and I'm hopeful that you would give it an extension.
An extension for how long?
I think all you can give is 6 months.
Matters before the board to grant Attorney Kelty's extension for the variance for 6 months.
So moved.
All in favor? All set. Approved.
Very much.
Now we are on to the continued application of the Tanwright Residences LLC, care of Attorney Panos. Another 40B. We have a Bob Langley update.
Memo from Bob Langley to the board dated September 16th, 22. The engineering department sent out a peer review package on August 4th, 2022 by email, which consisted of 4 proposals from city peer review representatives and a peer review agreement document to the applicant's attorney. The department advised that once the document was signed and a check was delivered to the city of Peabody, then the city would proceed to get its signature and send out a notice to proceed to the engineering firms. I received the signed copy of the agreement back along with the check to cover the peer review on Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. I anticipate that the city will set up an account and have the agreement signed by September 21, 2022. At that time, the peer reviewers will be notified to begin their work. It is estimated that peer reviews will be submitted back within 4 to 6 weeks, and after them receiving the notice to proceed. 6 weeks from September 21st puts the schedule for delivery on or about November 2nd, 2022. If you have any questions, please contact me.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jason Panos, practicing law at 246 Andover Street, Peabody, Massachusetts. I'm joined by the Tanwright Residences project team, Tony Capicetti, and tonight, you may recall, we promised a traffic study analysis and presentation. So we have Scott Thornton from Vanessa & Associates who will give that. And I also have one of the project principals, Nick Ambiliotis, with us tonight as well. As the correspondence that you read into the record indicated, peer review is well underway. It's going to take a little while, so what I would suggest by way of housekeeping is to keep the hearings going. Tonight we'll do traffic. If you have any follow-on questions, then we can continue traffic to the next hearing. Or we can take up another presentation item, whatever you'd like to hear about, and we'll be prepared to present, and then we'll await peer review comments that I understand will be coming in hopefully in November, at which time we'll really be able to start figuring out what your peer reviewers are saying about the project, and we'll let those discussions play out in the normal course. With that, and through the chair, I'd like to hand it over to Scott Thornton, who will give you a traffic report refresher on the anticipated impacts of this project. Scott?
Thank you, Jason. Madam Chair, members of the board, for the record, Scott Thornton with Vanessa Associates, who prepared the traffic assessment for the project. This slide shows the site in context with the area roadway network. There's obviously Walnut Street to the south, Wallace Street to the west, and then we've got Upton Street and Elm Street. The study area for the traffic assessment looked at 4 intersections, which are shown: Elm Street with Wallace Street, Hardy Street and Upton Street with Wallace Street, Wallace and Walnut, and then the other end, the east end of Upton Street with Walnut Street. We looked at the morning, conducted counts out there in March of 2022, looking at the weekday morning and the weekday evening time periods, which turned out to be 7:30 to 8:30 for the weekday morning peak hour and 4:15 to 5:15 for the evening peak hour. We also made some adjustments to account for the continuing effects of the COVID pandemic, looked at adjustments for average month conditions, and in general, we increased the traffic volumes by about 10 to 11% during the peak hours. We looked at crash data out at the intersections. No apparent safety deficiencies presented themselves in the crash data, with crashes between 0 and 1.4 crashes per year. We also looked at the public transit with the MBTA 435 bus that passes nearby on Main Street. That's the closest. There's a site at a bus stop at the end of Walnut and Main Street, or Walnut and Central Street, where that route continues. So the site presently contains the Tan Right leather manufacturing business. There's a certain amount of traffic associated with that, including truck traffic. We did not account for that traffic in order to present a conservative scenario, so the traffic from the development is added on top of the roadway conditions, which is a more conservative condition. This slide, although it's kind of tough to see, represents the trip generation for the development. And again, this study is based on 160 units. We understand the site has since been downsized to 132 units, which represents about an 18% decrease in unit count, and would result in a similar decrease in terms of trip generation. And these trips distributed out into through multiple access points and to the cardinal directions really results in sort of muting the effect of the overall development. The next slide shows some of our conclusions. We have no changes in overall levels of service at any of the locations that we reviewed as a result of the project traffic. Most locations are operating at between 10 and 25 seconds of delay on the side streets. And the driveways themselves should operate with less than 10 seconds of delay. Overall traffic increases are between 12 and 18 vehicles per hour on the periphery of the study area on the outside. And that's not likely to be noticed by the traveling public given the volumes that are currently out there. We had recommendations in the study to keep sight lines clear at the driveways, make sure vegetation and signage is below any lines of sight. We expect to develop a TDM plan. We made some reference to a TDM plan in the traffic study, which would include encouraging public transportation, carpooling, and other activities to try to, or other measures to try to minimize the use of personal vehicles. We expect to coordinate with the city's peer consultant for traffic with World Tech and address any of the comments they may have. But overall, we think the study indicates that there's no adverse impact expected due to the project. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Jason. Thank you.
Gee, I thought we'd get out of here by 8:30, and we're at 8:20, so I'm not going to prolong. Anything beyond this, unless, Tony, you have anything to add? Yeah, and after you hear opposition or support, if you could just pick a topic, and we'll be prepared to address it in October.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition? Yep.
What's your pleasure? Oh, I'm sorry.
Jason. For the record, my name is Stephanie Peach. I live at 19 Margin Terrace in Peabody. I just wanted to address comments that were made during a neighborhood meeting that we had a few months ago, just so that they can be addressed with the board. The developers were talking about maybe making Upton Street a one-way, which would certainly change the impact of traffic, either positively or negatively. So I know that's not a decision the board can make. It would have to go to the city council, but either way, whatever the study shows, I just want it to be addressed and talked about. Thank you.
And I was going to ask Attorney Panos, do you plan on pursuing that Upton
Yes,
Street one-way?
we would definitely like to engage the city council and the other powers that be in the city to do that. We think it's a good idea. We've looked at it. What we cannot do, I know initially from that neighborhood meeting, to give you context, it was suggested that we make both Wallace and Upton one-way. We cannot do that with Wallace without some serious adverse impacts. We looked at it, but Upton is definitely viable, and we think it's a good idea. So, again, it's not a matter this board can handle, but in your ultimate decision, you can make a recommendation, and we can pursue it. But it's largely out of our hands. It's out of your hands. But we think it's a good idea. Yep.
I guess through the chair, what's the next topic that's probably the most likely to be ready for the October meeting?
We're ready to discuss everything that we prepared. So can we do stormwater? That's a biggie.
Can.
Okay. Stormwater is a pretty is going to be a pretty big topic of discussion for this particular project. It is, in our opinion, something we address that helps make this project worthwhile and special because of the way we do handle stormwater. And so we're actually pretty happy to present it, but
Can you throw in the open space, pocket park stuff?
it's all related.
Okay.
It's all related.
Yep.
So it's all part of a green landscape plan that really is going to address what that block is going to look like after this is done. So yeah, it's all part and parcel. That's why it's not a simple few-minute presentation. But if
Okay.
you want us to pack in more, we will.
That's fine. Little bits and do it correctly, and we'll all be happy. Everybody all set with that? So motion to continue to October 17th.
So moved.
Second?
We'll see you October 17th. All in
Look
favor?
forward to it in 8:25. Wow.
Okay. And at this point in time, we have no minutes. We have a little bit to discuss afterwards. We have now adjourned. Thank you very much.